Hello. Welcome everyone to another episode of the Role Playing Guys. This is Spencer hopping on here to do a quick intro. As you've seen and probably have noticed, this is episode 6.1 of season 4. Now you may be asking yourself, when did the Role Playing Guys get into the decimal system releases? What is this? Well, perhaps you remember last week when I said that the last episode with Colin and Carlos was the last filler episode. Now this is true, because technically, this episode goes back to the main storyline. However, this episode is unique because it doesn't have all of the characters recording together. Instead, this episode is going to be a few little clips of everyone after getting chewed out by Lance. We thought that everyone would have a lot to think about after this, and wanted to show it. So, in this episode, we get to listen to the Nerds in the Know, a local BuzzTube channel that covers all things nerdy in the Megalopolis, the classified therapy session of Elle, what Scotty really is up to and who he is, and how Robert deals with the stress of work. It's pretty good. Thank you to everyone who's already supported us so much on social media with rating us and recommending us. It means a lot that you would be willing to share our little podcast with those who you care about, or maybe you shared it with your enemies like we recommended you do. I don't know your style, but anyway, thank you for recommending us and for rating us. We're deeply moved by your actions. For those who haven't rated us on iTunes or wherever, please do. Your ratings help us write better shows and provide a much better podcast. Please follow us on social media at Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. We don't have a BuzzTube channel. I think that's something that Nick made up, but I do not really do social media, so I don't know. Your support is super appreciated there. If you want to chat with us, shoot us a DM, find us on Discord, or email us at rolepg13.com. If you want more podcasts that are golden like this, check out the Necropodicon Podcast Network. Thank you so much to our Patreon donors, Jules and Brad. You are the winter coats that enable us to trek through this Antarctic world we call podcasting. Anyway, next week we'll be back with a normal episode. Let's get to this one.
Hello everyone. I am Nick, and with me is Rebecca. So for this little segment, Rebecca thought it would be fun to have her character, Elle, speak with her therapist. The corporation of Valiant would provide therapists, licensed psychologists, especially for those who have undergone the process of like reawakening from their past lives and that kind of thing. And so, and of course, the things that Corpori A have to deal with, having a therapist is, of course, a valuable resource. So, and we thought this was a good way to showcase what is on Elle's mind and what she's thinking with recent events in Corpori A. So, here we are. Oh, hello, Elle. Nice to see you again. Glad you could make it as usual.
Yeah.
Before I ask a question, I just need to make sure that I just gotta fill this out here. Yeah. Anyway, for the record, I, as always, am Dr. Jeffrey Carlisle, and this is a meeting number 27 with Elle
Lane.
Elle Lane, yes. You look like you have something on your mind, so let's get to it. How are you feeling, Miss Lane?
Honestly, not great. It's been a rough few days.
Has it? Tell me about it.
Well, obviously you know about my recently discovered backstory.
Yes, I'm aware.
And
yes.
we found Gwen, which has been rough. Guinevere. Lancelot and Guinevere.
Oh, I see. I might not have to ask you this, but how do you feel about this discovery?
Well, on the one hand, there's the part of me that wants to be happy for Lance. He's found a woman that he's in love with, and I can relate to how that must be making him feel. But of course, on the other hand, there's the part of me that's, why can't it be me?
I see.
At least before, there was no one. But now I have to watch him be happy with her.
Do you see the two of them often in the office?
Not too often.
Okay. Well, that's something, of course. What else has been going on with your job? Clearly something.
The last mission was a bit of a fiasco. You may have heard about it. I up on my file.
Well, I mean, I know the very basics, of course. Enough to get some basic context.
Well, Bastion is their usual stab first, ask questions later, bunch of yahoos.
Right.
Of course, our group didn't exactly help the situation any. Led into a fight, which obviously means that now we have to make amends with Bastion, and obviously Lance was very upset, and certain members of the group didn't make that any easier.
Certain members. Do you mind elaborating? Or not?
Well, I mean, Robert's a great guy and all, but he's a little on the dense side on some things, slow on the pickup of some of the more subtle interpretations. He tends to take things more literally.
It sounds like it's probably sounds frustrating from what I get.
And then, of course, Scotty is Scotty.
Right. Yeah, I remember you sharing a few stories in the past about how I think the word you used was juvenile.
Yes, and rough around the edges and doesn't really care about authority.
Indeed. How are you feeling about Britta, though? You haven't talked about her yet.
I mean, we've known each other from school and such.
Right.
And she's nice and all, but she also has a career to fall back on if this turns like nothing's keeping her here. So she doesn't have the same investment at times. Like, on the one hand, she's doing it because she wants to help. But on the other hand, like, if we mess up too badly, I guess she can walk away from it.
And you don't feel you have the same security?
I don't have a lot to walk away to, I guess.
You sound like you're concerned about staying in Valiant.
No, there's not really an option for me to leave.
Right.
I've spent the last how many years working here? It's kind of my home.
Yeah.
Especially when I need to get away from my parents' obsession. Of course, that found its way here too, so don't know how well that works out.
Does Valiant or Corpori A, does your work environment feel like home to you?
I guess. I mean, I socialize some outside of work, but I don't know. It's hard with the anxiety sometimes to put myself out there and meet new people, and work provides a safety net of people I can interact with.
Right. Yes. It's good to hear that you are, of course, making efforts to reach beyond boundaries, but at the same time, it's also good to hear that you continue to recognize where you feel safe, because that's also important as well. As much as people may say how important it is to stretch beyond yourself and things like that, it's just as important, if not more important, especially maybe in your situation, to have a place where you feel comfortable. And so if Corpori A still feels that way to you, then I'm glad to hear that. Is that the case?
Yes.
Okay. Good. I'll make sure. I'll certainly make sure to let Vivian and Kenneth know. Kenneth Bridgman know about that.
About what?
Oh, just sorry that you're satisfied with you being here. I apologize. You know that things in here are confidential, of course, but I figured it might be something good for them to hear. Mm-hmm. That you feel satisfied in your job. So sorry if you felt I was pushing boundaries there. Not my intention. Okay.
I mean, I feel like the team is growing pretty well. They're starting to become more functional.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, good. I don't know much about the other members of your team. I personally don't meet with any of them. But I hear almost nothing but good things from you. Well, almost nothing, of course. I wonder what else I could even ask. Maybe just some of the standard stuff. Any changes with adjusting between your previous life and this one?
Sadly, not so much.
Okay. Well, I mean, sadly, it could be a good thing too. You've been at a kind of a stable state mental state for a while, it seems. Even despite recent events, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, it's, I guess, sadly in that how much Elaine and the Lady Elaine of Shalott mesh. The same things that she struggled with, or things that I was struggling with before I knew I was her.
Did you say that's a sad thing?
Well, in as much as some of the struggles go, tending to be a bit more reserved, the anxiety, borderline depression, falling for a guy who hardly knows you exist and is desperately in love with someone else. Other than that, though, yeah, it's great.
I see. All right. Well, certainly the recent events with Bastion and with the CEO, of course, Mr. Martin, has done I guess it could be worse from what it seems, I suppose.
Well, I guess it helps that I have memories of being there before. Like, my past has gone through it. And now that I have better tools to cope.
Yeah. I wonder how... That's interesting. I wonder how that would affect the whole idea of maybe catharsis or something, because there's those theories out there about if you've mentally lived through something, then it's easier to process later. Maybe someone has a dream about something or something of that nature. That's just me postulating, though. It's
well, heartbreak's a lot easier to work through the second time around.
Indeed.
So there's that, I guess.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. All right, so let me just... can't think of anything pressing I wanted to ask right now. I'm just looking over previous things we've talked about, see what updates we might want to go through, that kind of thing. Oh, familial relationships. Relationship with your parents, if you feel comfortable. As always, if you feel comfortable sharing. Anything new about that?
My parents are professors whose specialty is Arthurian legend.
Right.
So, obviously, I've never been a big fan, which made the whole awakening thing a little difficult to come to terms with. I haven't really talked to them much since then.
I was curious. It's something we haven't talked about in, I think it was since maybe our third or fourth session or something like that. So I was really curious if there's anything.
I mean, I give the usual birthdays, Mother's Day, Father's Day call, but other than that, I kind of tend to avoid getting too close to them. I feel like I kind of get sucked into the madness a bit.
The madness?
I mean, they're great, but...
What do you mean by the madness, if I may ask?
Oh, just the going on and on and on about King Arthur and his knights and how things today correlate to things back then and parallels. And everything ties back into it. I've never had a conversation that did not lead back to that particular track.
I see.
I mean, they called me Elaine.
Right. It must be either interesting or frustrating or ironic to you that a lot of what they're saying is probably true. I mean, based on what I know of the Flux and about Lancelot, and Vivian as Nimue, and so on and so forth.
It's just hard, I guess, to go back knowing that they were right.
I see.
After all the scoffing and eye rolling I've done, it's hard to go back and have to admit that there's at least some truth to what they've been saying.
Indeed.
I mean, we'll get there, but for now, trying to wrap my head around one issue at a time, I suppose.
What particular issue are you choosing to focus on right now, if any?
I guess just finding a new medium in my life, with where we're at right now. With
a new medium?
Well, a new way to, I guess, live with a broken heart. I know that sounds totally cliche, but...
So do you mean, like, being open to other relationships, or maybe coping with...
More coping at this point.
Okay. I see.
Maybe a few dozen years down the line.
I see.
But we'll see.
Indeed.
Who knows where we'll be at.
Yes. I'm told that your next assignment will be to meet with the leader of Bastion, with the rest of Team Corpori A.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
How do you feel right now about that incoming meeting? You feel perhaps apprehensive, or maybe confident, or something else?
I guess annoyed, tinged with the upset that we disappointed Lance and the company.
I see.
And that he had to reprimand and lost his temper a little bit with the group.
Indeed. Well, I hope things get better for you, and that your next mission is successful. I hear that will be happening in the next few days, I think. So I think the next time we meet, we can talk about that, or anything else you wish, of course, as always. But we can tentatively plan on that. Was there anything else you wish to discuss with me at this time?
Not at the moment, and thank you so much for everything you do. I definitely would not be where I am today without being able to talk through some of these things without the, I guess, judgment or needing to fix that often happens when you bring it up with other people.
Right.
Being able to talk about it without just being able to talk it out, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that is one thing I'm very grateful that Valiant does. You know, this is certainly not the type of therapist or psychologist position I thought I would have. I think I've told you this before. The kind of training that they give to us in explaining that I am among the very few people in the megalopolis that do know about the truth. It's
having to help people cope with an entirely different history being sprung upon them is not what you imagined.
Not what I imagined, but I am very grateful that I've seen examples of success with you and with a few other members of the Watch and the Night Watch, with a couple of the other minor teams of the Night Watch. Even speaking with Mr. Martin himself on occasion as well, although he hasn't been to see me very much recently. Vivian does, though. I appreciate the network that they make for you and everyone else involved with these things. All right, so if that is it, I think we will go ahead and conclude here. And again, this is for the audio record. Everything in this audio log is meant to be strictly confidential for those with approved clearance and permission from the client. In this case, Miss L. Lane. But yes, this is Dr. Jeffrey Carlisle. Session ended.
Getting on the blue line, Robert makes his way back to his apartment. He doesn't notice Brad, his favorite Utah driver, at the wheel. Though there are a lot of open seats, Robert is too caught up in his own thoughts to notice, and stands the whole way. It is only because Brad knows him so well that Robert gets off at his own stop. He walks into his home. The walls are decorated with the memories of holidays past, and they appear to be a timeline. They begin with his parents and his brothers celebrating a lot of different holidays: Memorial Day, birthdays, Salt Day, Crimbus, the whole list. The pictures of his parents and brother abruptly stop, and there are quite a few pictures of Robert alone in his apartment celebrating these events. Though no one else is in these pictures, it looks like he has planned parties for at least a dozen people. Robert runs up to Robert. Robert pulls out a little squeaky ball and tosses it down the hall for the rodent. The last picture on the wall is of the last salt day, which Robert celebrated with his new pet rat, Robert, both of them wearing the traditional headpiece and smiling. He goes to the fridge and grabs some cheese for his rat friend and puts it on a plate. He also pulls out a TV dinner for himself and turns on the TV. Flipping to his channel, he waits as the wacky adventures of Donald and Paul end. The theme song of Tell It To Me Now comes on, and Robert begins to smile. When the show ends, Robert turns off the TV and goes to bed. The rodent Robert hops onto the bed with Robert. Joining Corporier has been a roller coaster, buddy. I have met a lot of cool people, but I'll be honest, today was pretty rough. We got in a lot of trouble because this Bastion jerks wouldn't look at the map. Sorry, Robert didn't mean to swear. Then Lance yelled at me, and I didn't understand what he was talking about, and now everyone on the team thinks I'm a dum-dum. Elle hates me, Britta hurts me, and Scotty completely ignores me. I don't even know if he knows my name. I'm just not so sure about this anymore, bud. Robert looks over at Robert, who looks back in his eyes. The rat burps a nasty cheese burp right into Robert's face, who just laughs. Robert, you're my only friend. Robert says that as he hugs the rat. He realizes that if it wasn't for Corporier, a lot of those pictures frames would just be him. While it won't be easy, he feels he owes a debt of gratitude to Valiant and will stay on the team.
Good morning, Salt Flats. Welcome to Nerds in the Know. I am Preston Scrivener, as always, with a weekend roundup of what I like to call saline headlines. First, Valiant's premier adventure fantasy park, Nightmore, just opened up again with their new season titled Haunt, which will last from now until the middle of November. Or shall I say, witches will last from now until the end of November. Thank you. Yeah, I totally didn't get paid for writing that line. Anyway, park officials say a new tavern called and I gotta be careful with how I say this, the Fluxed Up Tavern will open up this season exclusively for cosplayers and those affected by, as they put it, seasonally appropriate flux alterations. So, if you identify as a chimera, a sanguivore, a therianthrope, heck, I think even thetas and hordes would be more than welcome to hang out there. Sounds like the Fluxed Up Tavern is a dream come true. Or a nightmare. At this point, who knows what the heck Nightmare Park is shaping up to be. Anyway, in other news, the Salt Flat City Ultimate Comic Convention of Nerdtastic Awesomeness, thanks, known by everyone else as FanCon, happened this weekend, and let me tell you, it was just the fabulous mass of fandom and nerdiness we've come to expect every year. Hundreds of artists, game makers, shop owners, and celebrities came together to hang out, play dress-up, and just have a good time. There was a slight scare for a moment when a temperamental young lady named Jules Gregory, who identifies as an Aloy, caused a bit of mayhem when someone cut in line in front of her for a panel about comedic parodies, but local UTA speedy security officers quickly de-escalated the situation. Among the notable celebrities that were there at FanCon were Britta, the star of Dr. Y, Paul Parnell, the founder of Necropodicon Incorporated, and Mark Plemons, the creator of the up-and-coming tabletop RPG Monopoleria. Speaking of Britta, it's no secret that she's up to her neck in some top-secret shenanigans with Valiant and their elite Nightwatch security team, but now it looks like she's up to her manicured eyebrows in controversy regarding a rare turf war of sorts between two of the most aggressive PMSC teams in the Megalopolis, Valiant's Nightwatch, of course, and Omnicore's Bastion. Britta's posts on social media have, until this point, been relatively mundane when it comes to her work with the Nightwatch, but just a few days ago, she posted some short clips of this scuffle showing some of the collateral damage, a team member attacking a drone out of the sky. In fact, I think we have a clip to show you right now, so here it is.
Yeah, sure, jump off my back, and I run into the middle of the street, and I just go on like all four, like a platform to allow you to jump.
The parkour runner is becoming
my
the
dog is
footstool for other
trained.
parkour runners.
I gotta support my team.
So,
Soars through
jump
the air.
up, got Clarence drawn, So I go up, swing the sword at it, come crashing down, and hopefully do something.
That is enough to deal 1 wound to it.
Oh, perfect. All right. I'm gonna run along. I'm gonna run up a wall pretty much and run like sideways for like super dramatic flair while I'm just unloading on this last guy with my pistol while I'm
Nice.
running on the wall.
Yeesh. Sounds like a bad time for everyone involved, not the least of which Valiant and Omnicore themselves. Although Britta has been pretty quiet online these past couple of days, reports from several sources seem to confirm that peaceful talks between the two corporations are currently underway. Good for them, I say. Now a bit of a bonus headline for you. A new escape room business has just opened up. Yes, I know. Not another one! This new location, which calls themselves Escape the Sands, is opening this week with 6 different rooms, with more on the way. I think including this, we got now, 176 escape rooms now?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, exactly. That's in the whole megalopolis. It's getting kind of ridiculous at this point, but hey, people like their escape rooms, I guess. At any rate, Escape the Sands boasts a unique theme to their rooms in that each one is based off of a story or series written by the late local fantasy writer Brandon Sanderson. I kind of forgot about that guy, to be honest. Early 21st century, I think. I think he was the one who started that whole controversy about librarians eating metal or something like that. Like,
Something like that.
yeah, I mean, not that any of us were alive for that, but
Right.
I mean, who knows how... it's hard to tell how real that was or whatever. Anyway, that's all we got for you at Nerds in the Know. Again, I'm Preston Scrivener, and until next time, have a fabulous day, fellow nerds.
Bastion. I should have known it was them. With their various cases of police brutality and illegal activities. Heck, during my times in the Salt Flat Fanatics, we would deliver packages for Bastion pigs. And I know we shouldn't be peeking, that's what Ralphie used to tell us, but come on, curiosity got the better of me most of the time. Drugs, illegal trafficking of mythical creatures, undocumented magic items. How could I not have pieced that together before? Gosh, it's all coming back to me that night. We had just come out of watching that revamping of the It movie with that creepy clown. Goodness, I was scared out of my mind. I avoided every single sewage drain there was so that nasty carnival freak wouldn't do me like Georgie. But we made it home without a single red balloon in our way. My sweet ma and pa tucked me in, kissed my forehead. I still feel the warmth of that kiss, the feeling of peace that came over me, and it left me feeling like no space alien freak could ever touch me while I was with them. I fell fast asleep. I still remember the sound of the door getting kicked downstairs. I remember my heart racing as I thought that the clown had finally come for me. My pa got his bat, raced down the stairs, and my mom ran to my room, cradling me in her arms. Grunts of a struggle ensued, smashing of plates and dishes, and the rushing of feet up the stairs. The last time I saw my mother, she was in tears, saying she loved me as she pushed me into the closet and told me to stay quiet. She scrambled to stack furniture in front of the door, but to no avail. Men in black rushed in, beating her to the ground, covering her face with a black bag, then carrying her out. Before she was back, she gave me one last look through the slits of the closet door, and she was gone. It's been so long. I'm scared I can't remember the faces. When I think of that night, or the ones before, they become blurrier by the day. Will I even remember who they are? Will I know it's them when I see them? Are they even alive? Well, all I know is I got a date with Bastion tomorrow. Lance wants me to apologize to those creeps, wants me to be a good little boy, bite the bullet. Well, screw him, screw the watch. Me and old Smokey got a score to settle.
Okay, Dan. Are you ready to record these bumpers for the Necropodicon Network?
It was Brad who introduced us to the Necropodicon Network.
Dan, I can't...
Yes, Brad is the one that found me to join this content-rich network of perfect podcasts. Now listen.
Dan, we both co-host the show.
He owns the network that the Indie Film Review, our show. Stop crying, you sniveling ass. Stop your nonsense. Here, if you have the podcast, and I have some headphones, see, I put them on, my headphones reach across the room and start to listen to your podcast.
Daniel, we have the same podcast.
I listen to your podcast. I listen up.
Daniel, Jesus Christ!
Do you think that your goofing and gaffing would surpass me? I am the Indie Film Review. I am the Necropodicon Network.
Listen to the Indie Film Review for the lowdown on all the coolest indie film you probably never heard of. The Indie Film Review. I've abandoned my boy.